Okay, mic check 1, 2. I will keep talking until.
Perfect.
You are now listening to the Still Watchable podcast, featuring Wu Assassins. Episodes 1 and 2 contains language.
Oh, hello, Richard.
Hello, Fran.
So we are following up our movie of the year with a somewhat more obscure title here, and
Woo
also
Assassins.
yes, Wu
Which isn't
Assassins,
a movie.
which isn't even a movie. Whatever. There's no rules here. Quoting
Yeah, there are no rules here.
good old James Earl Jones.
Hmm.
So I've polished off episodes 1 and 2, and
Yeah.
I was like, Richard, I need to talk about this. This is some crazy stuff. And how far did you get?
Yeah, I finished season 1.
Okay, all right. So yeah,
Yeah.
you made short work of season 1, which is
I did.
10 episodes, right?
10 episodes, correct,
Okay.
sir.
Is there a season 2 out already?
No, because it only came out in July.
Okay, so it's not that
Yeah.
old.
Which is one thing I want to talk about with episode 2.
Oh my god. Yeah. It's weird because I remember episode 1 really clearly, and episode 2,
Mhm.
I kind of just remember them being in the car for most of it, which can't be right, but
No, it is, but the thing I well, should I just talk about this now because I brought it up, or should we just talk about it in some sort of order, some chronological order?
yeah, let's do it in chronological order. First of all,
Okay.
spoilers, obviously.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much we're going to spoil. Maybe the first 2 episodes, maybe more. But
Yeah. I mean, I don't know
all,
how you do.
well, first of all, we should let people know this is the type of show that within 5 minutes can go from threatening someone's tidy whities with a gun to killing a water snake with some elemental dagger or something.
Yeah, I mean, it's very much in the ridiculous kung fu like cinema vein of just like don't worry about rationale, just crazy shit happens and just roll with it,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah. Like within the first 5 seconds of the show, I had to pause it and go back to be like, did I start this in the right place? Because it just shoots you into a scene where 2 people are knife fighting, and one of them calls the other one an old man, but they're the same age. And
Uh-huh.
then the main character starts doing some Neo stuff. So
Yeah, I keep calling him Rama, even though that's not his name in real life. That's just
right,
who he was in the raid.
yeah.
So
Which
and
what
in the
is that
raid
actor's
too.
name? Hold on. In this,
It's
his name is Kai, right? Or hold on,
yeah, Kaijin is the character. The
Kaijin.
actor's name is Iko Weiss. I don't know how to say his last name
Yeah.
because there isn't IPA in freaking Wikipedia. I was like, if this was written in phonetics, I could read it, but
Oh, I thought Wikipedia always included that.
now sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. So I have
Damn,
no idea. Cause yeah.
damn. Your linguistic skills are going to a waste here.
Well, yeah, because I don't. Wait, is it Tagalog? Well, no, that's the Philippines, not Indonesia. What the hell's the language of the Philippines?
By the way, this
I mean,
show
of
is in
Indonesia.
English, right? The whole thing is in
Yes,
English.
the show is in English. There are snippets in Chinese or whatever, but they're all subtitled. Yeah.
Right. It looked like
Oh, Indonesian is the official language of Indonesia.
okay. So
Sorry,
the
that's
show is
just my.
created by John Worth and Tony Krantz, so they don't sound very Chinese, even though a lot of the cast is either Chinese or yeah, Indonesian or
Yeah, they're both American. I mean, but
yeah. I thought some of the directors for the episodes were
yeah, they got Asian American or Asian directors and stuff. But yeah, the creators
right.
themselves, I believe, are just 2 Americans.
Right. Although I'm
But
looking at the list of executive producers, and there is a Stephen Fung.
let's
Anyways,
see, dude.
so yeah, so right off the bat, I'm like, what is this show about? So it's about a chef, right? Because midway through the knife fight, the guy catches a knife, and after saving someone's life, who's just like, "Who are you?" He's like, "I'm a chef."
This is still before the opening credits even
Yeah.
rolled.
Yeah,
Just
this is all
FYI.
like we said spoilers, but we're only spoiling like 20 seconds really.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of they decided to go like don't worry about plot. There's just action going on right now.
Yeah.
And then
Which you got to get the audience somehow.
oh yeah, they hook you in.
Yeah, because I heard about this show like before it was officially announced because I was looking up, again, I want to just call him Rama, I'll just call him Eco. I was looking up his credits, right, because I was like, all right, he's in the Raid 2, and
Yeah.
then I was like, what else is he in? And then it said on his Wikipedia page, Woo Assassins. I was like, what in the world is this? So I clicked on it, and at that point they just had a sentence where it was like, a chef finds out he's like from a line of assassins or whatever. Like that was the premise that they had advertised. And I was
Right.
like, a chef finds out he's a line from assassins and has to stop some sort of like plot with supernatural powers. And
Right.
then that was it. And I was like, what the hell is this show gonna be?
Yeah.
And then I was like, all right. And then I was waiting. And then when they officially announced when it was coming out, they're like coming in August or whatever, and I was like, holy crap, well, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, I didn't even know there would be a supernatural angle to it because I just found it while browsing on stuff on Netflix, and I was like, oh, that's Rama, that's the guy from the raid. And so I was like, all right, this can't be bad.
Yeah.
I think he beats someone up, and someone gives him a thing, and all of a sudden he's got like this glowing torso. I'm like, is that a belt? Is he about to turn into like a Power Ranger? What's going on? Like, what is happening here?
He's got the glow from the last Dragon Friend, everyone knows that,
glow.
alright. The
That's
glow,
right.
okay.
Sure enough. Yeah.
Show enough, the Shogun of Harlem, alright, everyone knows, alright.
Right. So, all right. So, how do we lead up to that moment? How does he meet Yin Yang? Do you remember?
You mean you want me to go through the plot of the episode when he's driving away from the two triads and then he stops
Yeah.
in the middle of the road because she's lying in it?
Yeah. Well, do you remember why she was just lying there?
Yeah, she was just lying there on the ground, like playing dead. So then he goes to check on her, and then she just ambushes him, and then hits him with the tortoise shell, the monk medallion or whatever it was called.
Right.
And then he just goes to the freaking like the land of wind and ghosts. Okay.
Yeah. See, this is what's great about like kung fu stories is like you can just accept that someone goes to land of wind and ghosts and talks to people, whereas like if you told this story in any other kind of perspective, you'd be like, so this guy's schizophrenic and he's talking to people and causing violence. So
Well, because it was when I was thinking, God, I cannot remember for the life of me that movie we watched together back in South Hadley, where it was some Asian film, right? And it was like about romance, and the key was like the thing with romance is all about timing, and these two people kept fucking up their timing, and at one point. Because I don't remember if it was something you had to watch, like when you had to watch that "Take Me to the River" movie with John Travolta or whatever, or what that was like a part of. And then
wait,
so
are
we
you
were
talking?
watching.
Take me to the river. Are you talking about a civil action that Lauren
Yes,
movie?
there was like a series. There was like a couple of movies you had to watch for some reason,
Yeah.
and I don't remember if this one particular Asian film was a part of that like thing. But then you're like, Richard, do you want to watch this is like movies with me? And I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. And then, so anyway, like in that movie where it was like their timing messes up, for some reason, at some point in the movie, they have this idea of let's write kung fu stories together.
Huh.
So they're like writing these kung fu stories, and then the girl, like the guy is spitting out plot points, and the girl's like, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. And the guy just goes, it's a kung fu story. No one cares about making sense. Just write it down.
Yeah. That's
He's like,
pretty
as long as
accurate.
yeah, he was like, as long as it's cool, put it in. So it was just like making me think of that.
Yeah,
I
the
was
making you
just-
think of that, dude. The way your brain works is amazing. Like you just pick up these morsels of like space and time. Like I remember you watching this movie about this class, and I don't even remember what it was called or who was in it, but they talked about this, and it makes sense. Was it an overly serious movie, or not serious,
Yeah.
but because if
I
it
mean, it
wasn't,
wasn't.
it sounds like it could be a comedy from what you told me about it. It's not,
I
right?
mean, it had like it was funny, but it wasn't like I mean, it had funny moments, but it
Hmm.
wasn't like a comedy, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm trying to think
Um,
of what it could be. Did it have some sci-fi in it? Some
I
futuristic stuff?
I think so, but for some reason
Was there a
I was
train?
like, was there a train? There might have been.
Was
Oh
there a
God,
cyborg?
I don't think there was a cyborg. I want to
I'm trying to
say.
narrow it down if it was 2046, because it might have been 2046.
Oh God, that sounds really familiar. Let me Google 2046 film. Yes.
It was that. We should add that to the list. It's been I
Yes,
haven't
a
seen that in a
train in a
million years.
futuristic landscape takes passengers to a place where they can recapture their memories, a place from which no one has ever returned.
Yeah,
Yeah, thank God you remember the title, Fred. Yes, it was
yeah,
this
I
film.
gotcha.
And that was the like thing about the time was like, oh, that's the thing about love is it's all about timing, and that's why they were
Mm,
going through all their memories and all this crap.
yeah,
And then so was there a cyborg in 2046?
I thought there was something like a cyborg or an
There
android.
okay.
Or,
There
I mean,
probably was.
we should just. I know this episode's called Zoo Warriors, but we should just talk about 2046 the whole time.
Yes, okay, here we go. 2046 is the number of the hotel room in which they meet to write their kung fu novel serial.
Okay,
So
see, I
this
haven't
was
seen
that
that
movie.
movie in so long. I thought that was the year it takes place in, because I thought it was kind of futuristic, but maybe it's not.
Well, no, it is in the future. I mean, it goes through is it? Hold on. No, wait. Oh, no, it's set in the 1960s. But they go
Okay, it's
through,
set in the
like,
60s. Oh, wow.
yeah, they go in the 60s, but they're on a train. So 2046 is yeah, the name of the room. Okay, so I remember the scene vividly because they're writing the. I don't remember anything else about the movie except that they're in this thing writing this kung fu serial, the wushu story, and then
Right.
the woman is like, "That doesn't make any sense." The guy's just straight up like, "Who cares? It's a kung fu story. It doesn't have to." He's like, "Just put it in." So I remember that vividly. The title of the film, you somehow came up with that, even
I
though it's just a
gotcha.
number. That was magic,
I
Fran.
can talk titles all day.
All day long, twice on Sunday. Okay. Oh, but
You have to see what
so
happens in the movie. You got issues there.
yeah, so I don't know. That scene was burned in my brain, and while I was watching Wu Assassins, that dug it out of hiding
Right.
because we watched that back in South Hadley, which is Jesus. It's now been a decade.
Oh my God, so long ago. But so is that scene is what they said in that moment something that stuck with you forever, or did it just come back when you watched this
No, no,
Wu
it stuck with
Assassin?
me forever
Okay.
because I thought about like, because whenever I try to write something or I'm like, does
Right.
this make sense? Like, I ask
Right.
myself that, and I hear that, even though the dude was speaking, what language was that movie in?
I think
Um,
it might be what's his name, Karwai, the director. What is that? Is that
yeah,
Korean?
no, no, Karwai. It's Hong Kong, so I don't know
Hong
if it's
Kong?
Cantonese. Um, how do you remember the director, Fran?
I don't know. If it's someone that I think
You're
is good, I
asking,
try to remember.
you're asking about my brain, Fran. Okay. Look at you drawing out who fucking directed 2046. All right.
I don't know. I
But
think
yes.
he's pretty good. What else has he done? Let me look him up.
Oh God. Anyway, so that line has been stuck in my brain since we watched the film, and
Hmm.
then so periodically it comes back up. But then yeah, it was just like when they go to the land of wind and ghosts, and suddenly she's talking to him about the Wu assassins like it's nothing. I'm like, yeah, just roll with it. This is how a kung fu. This is how a kung fu plot should go. Okay,
Yeah,
especially when you
yeah.
throw supernatural powers in there. Okay.
Since all we're doing is talk about other things than Wu Assassins, you know what I thought this was a remake of? Was Zoo
What?
Warriors. Zoo Warriors from the Magic Mountain. Did you ever
Oh,
watch
okay.
that? I thought it was a remake of that. I was like, oh man. Do you know what I'm talking about? That old Hong Kong movie? It's kind of
Yes.
it's like crazy. I watched it as a kid, and all I remember is like supernatural stuff and like mist and
I
like kung
mean,
fu.
you're not wrong because I just quickly had to type it in because it's been a while, and then yeah, it's yeah, supernatural elements. It served as an influence for the 1986 American film Big Trouble in Little China, which is
No.
one of the greatest movies of all time.
Yes, it is. But I thought he made that as a western first.
It was a Western, but then when they were like, because even though it was a Western, I mean, the plot is still the same. They just decided to make it sort of modern times. I mean, the supernatural elements
Mm,
would still exist in a Western theme,
right,
right?
right.
Um, so yeah, and then they whatchamacallit, updated it to be modern. But yeah, so it served as the influence for, that's right,
That's awesome.
Zoo Warriors from the Magic Mountain.
Oh, it's okay. It's not Zoo Warriors. It's Zoo.
It's
Okay.
Zoo and then colon Warriors from the Magic Mountain.
All right. All right.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, for most of the first episode of Wu Assassins, I thought it was a remake of Zoo Warriors. And yeah, I don't know when I realized it wasn't. I'm having trouble remembering the chronology of things. So
Well,
does he
because it
just?
was.
I feel like he gets offered like 8 different restaurant jobs, which he keeps turning down. And I don't know any guy that works in a food truck that's like, nah, I want to keep doing this. Like, I love
Well,
being in this hot truck.
so that it reminded me of a different thing, Chef, which is actually
Oh, I
inspired
haven't seen
by
that.
oh, Chef is mad good, but oh god, who
Jean
oh
Favreau, right?
yeah, yeah, Jean Favreau, but it's Rob Choi. Wait, is it Rob Choi? Hold on. Why am I blank? No, it's not. Oh god, this is terrible. How am I blanking on his name? I love the actual chef it's based on. It's Roy Choi, not
Oh,
Rob Choi. So he was
okay.
well partial. So John Favreau had this idea for a like gourmet chef or whatever who ends up running a food truck, and it ended up actually being essentially akin to Roy Choi, this actual gourmet chef who had a similar experience. Like he was tired of sort of the restaurant industry or whatever, and then decided to open up his food truck, and then that actually paved the way for like a gourmet food truck movement
Mm,
where a lot of actual, it wasn't just like, cheap food like at a construction site, which actually they do highlight that in a scene in the movie. Again, why we're talking about everything except Wu Assassins in
yeah.
this, okay? But anyway, so that like sort of starting out as that food truck and then going off and then the like sort of what that food truck ends up becoming,
Mm,
it just resonated with me of like why he wanted to do this thing of something that he himself could control as like a food truck rather
right.
than working for someone else. Or then when what was it, Uncle Six was like, oh, this could be your restaurant, and it's like even though it's like, oh, this is your restaurant, it's not really his restaurant because it's Uncle Six fronting it and everything. So he's like,
Right.
oh, with at least with my food truck, I own it. It's mine. No one can tell me yay or nay. It's my little thing. I can just make my food. Um,
Right. I didn't realize until later, which I guess isn't revealed until later, that the one of the people that's offering him a restaurant is connected to the
the
triad.
triads,
Or,
yeah,
so that makes sense why he would turn it down if he's like an honorable person.
yeah.
Um, yeah, there was. Now I'm
What?
trying. Now I'm thinking about food trucks and stuff. There was a guy that recently won a major award. I don't remember if it was like a James Beard Award or something like that, and he just worked on a food truck. But I think it was in Asia though, so I don't think that's anyway.
Anyway, I was like, what do your notes say, Fran?
All right, so let's see.
This was your idea, Fran. I'm looking at you, buddy.
we've already we've already talked about a lot of my notes, so I'm like skimming through to find out where I was. I have a I have a random note here about how there was a cool mural of Bruce Lee in the background, and how a dude was wearing one of those like iron bar piercings on his ear, and I thought that was kind of odd because it was like a 2004 thing, right? Like having
Yeah,
the
yeah.
like I had a girlfriend that had one of those, and it was kind of cool at the time. But I guess
Well,
that's
that's
what's up at Wu Assassins.
well, what you were saying that yeah, the 2004 thing, because that was in episode two that was cracking me up,
Uh-huh.
where it was they showed a scene because it said episode one said present day or whatever, and the show came out in 2019 last year. And
Mm.
then, like, when in episode two, in a flashback to them as kids or teenagers or whatever, it said 15 years ago, right? But then Uncle Six
Right.
comes. So 15 years ago is 2004, but Uncle
Right.
Six comes out dressed like he's in 1984. And I was
Yeah, he
like,
comes in looking like Michael Jackson. I remember exactly what you're talking. That's the beginning of episode 2.
it's the beginning of episode 2, and I forget, and I just
Yeah.
lost it because I was like, wait, 15 years ago, why is he
Right?
still dressed like that? I
Yeah.
started cracking up, and I
Yeah, I
was like,
think they went to production. They're like, we need something from 15 years ago. And they're like, how about 40 years ago? All right.
because then I was thinking, I was like, because I mean, we had just graduated. Yeah, we had just graduated. Wait, how old were we in 2004?
Graduated high school.
Yeah, 2004 was.
People weren't wearing clothes as if they were auditioning for the Thriller remake, you
I
know?
know that's because I was trying to think of what the fashion trends were going on because we had just got
It was
a.
not that.
It was
Not
not
that.
that. It was. It was not
I
how
guess the
Uncle.
biggest. Yeah.
It was not how Uncle Six was
Uh,
rolling. All right.
I'm trying to think. Were there trends? Like, what was the scene? I guess there were Avril Lavigne was big, so there was like the whole skater boy look, and I guess emo people too,
I just
right?
literally Googled 2004 fashion trends, and it is not helping me. Okay.
No, it's kind of hard to tell
It
what
says here that.
what divides the early 2000s from the 2010s. I mean, recently there's some 80s stuff coming back, like the high waistlands and
Yeah, yeah.
like bare
I,
midriff.
sh- I feel like I've been seeing shoulders lately, or I'm just going crazy.
Really? They're coming back?
I
Tell
don't
me
know if they're.
shoulder pads are coming back. I want that to happen.
I'm trying. I was like, have I? I was like, I'm just not sure if I'm hallucinating, but I feel like I've seen shoulders, but I don't know. All right.
Next time I see you, you look like Don Johnson. I'm like, what happened?
Going full
You're like,
Miami
I'm in
Vice
right
on
now. I'm
this.
in.
I'm in. I'm in too deep. All right. I can't shake this. This is me now, friend. This is me. Okay.
This is me. It's like not only am I in too deep with the fashion, but I also went full Miami Vice. I owe a lot of people money.
It's like, Fred, I gazed into the abyss, and the abyss gazed back, and this is me now, okay? This is just me.
Oh man.
Yeah, because then there's, what else happened in episode 2? Oh, the cop starts working for Lou.
Right. Which she was yeah, she's going full undercover
Yeah.
and she knows how to steal cars and she speaks Russian too. I don't know
Yeah,
why
yeah,
that's
yeah.
relevant right now because I've only seen 2 episodes, but I'm guessing that's important.
Yeah, yeah, I think it
And
was just like, I don't want to say like, I guess they're just like, oh yeah, she's this car thief. She speaks Russian. She's legit. It's like, all right, that's all I need. All right.
yeah, like she Kai's friend is what's his character's name? The
Lou,
garage owner.
Lou Jin Lee, Lou
Right.
Lee. I think they
Yeah.
just kept calling him Lou.
Okay. So he owns a garage that I guess is doing some shady stuff,
Yeah, yeah,
and I think he's also one of the people that keeps offering Kai.
yeah. He like keeps offering him like money or like willing to actually like get him a new truck.
Right, and you
For
can kind of tell that he's not very legit because Kai keeps saying like, "I never see you working, but you got all this money."
yeah. He's like, look, don't
And
worry about the details, all right? Let's not worry about how the economy works, okay? About who has what
right,
money from where. It's like just
right. So the undercover characters, they call her CG,
yeah, CG.
and and she kind of gets an in by like just randomly showing up and stealing his car from
Yeah,
a
she steals his
restaurant, right?
car. Yeah, she steals his car, and then he asks around
Right.
about her
So she like plays
cred.
hard to get,
Yeah.
and he eventually just hires her, and he sends her on this, I don't know, to go get groceries or something. What?
What
some
with
medial
Kai?
task. What? Yeah. What did?
No,
what
no,
did-
they go to get
why
a
was
new
Kai helping her?
No, they go to get a new windshield for Kai's truck that got
Oh, that's what it
broken
is.
during the
Okay.
triad fight.
Close enough.
Yeah, groceries and a new windshield, potato.
So, I was just laughing during this car ride because, like, while I'm enjoying the show and it's like, it's fast paced and I like the actors and everything, but it seemed like things escalated really quickly. Like you're just gonna go get a windshield, and CG. I guess she's trying to get a foothold into this world, so she's very talkative. But she just starts telling Kai like her whole life story,
Hmm.
and she even mentions how like Kai is a man of few words and he's just chilling. But it like quickly turns into her getting really personal with like her past
Hmm.
and uh, and then she's like, she's got tears in her eyes, she's crying, and Kai just says like, "I'm sorry," and then I started laughing because I thought about how funny would it have been after she goes through this whole like this monologue. His response is just like, "God damn!"
God damn, it's like sucks to be you.
Right? It's like that's some heavy shit.
It's like, good
Uh,
lord. But no, he was just like, oh, all right then, that happened. And then he just like goes
right.
back to his silence thing. Because she's
Yeah.
like, I
So
opened
that's
up, and that's what you're gonna give me. He's like, I didn't say I was gonna open up. Yeah, that's
right.
what he
It's
was
like
like.
it's like you do you. You mean
Yeah,
I'm just chilling here. I
I'm
just
just.
need a windshield.
Yeah, he's like, I just need a windshield, and I just wanted to know why we're not playing music. He was like, you're the one complaining about awkward silence. Just
Right.
put on some music, and then
Right.
that'll get
That's
rid
what
of the
it was.
silence. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like damn. I didn't know you could play music with some dark shit.
uh
Right. Oh, but okay. So let's backtrack a little bit.
huh.
His window was broken because he was fighting with people, right?
The
Was
triads,
that what
yeah.
happened?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
triads. He was starting up his food truck. He turned on the ignition, and then a triad took a baseball bat to his windshield, and then
Yeah, that's
he
rough.
tried to get out the other door. The other dude jumped him, and then the fight inside the car took
And is
place.
he turning into like old people yet at this point?
No, no, not yet, because he's fighting, and then he gets them out. So then he starts driving, and then he turns. He goes down the alley, and then that's when the sort of monk piece finds him after that fight. Because then
Okay.
he passes out on the ground from going to the land of fucking wind and ghosts. So then, obviously, like, someone just calls in. They're like, yo, there's a truck out here with a smashed up window and a dude just lying on the ground. So he gets taken to the hospital. And that's when when he wakes up, looks in the mirror, and then he's a different person.
Yeah. Which I think I have that power too. I sometimes look in the mirror and I'm like, this guy looks older than I thought I did. But
I think we've all had that thing where it's just looking in the mirror like, I've aged terribly.
uh, but when does Yin Yang tell him about the different monks with different powers? Because she kind of goes into that a little bit, right?
Well, that happens like peppered throughout the episode. Like she kind of starts saying like, you have the 1,000 monks or whatever, and then I think that's when he like sees himself in the mirror. He gets dragged back, and he's like, "What the hell?" And then that's when she's like, "Oh, the faces of the 1,000 monks are protecting you. You can take on their image to hide or whatever." Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right, and she kind of introduces how they have the power of metal or fire,
Well,
and
yeah,
then she
that he
drops
has.
the power of wood. Someone has the power of wood.
Yeah, because that's the Taoist thing is the five elements. Um,
Mm.
Well, again, I'm being a lazy American and pronouncing it Tao rather than Tao or Tao.
Oh, it's thou.
Yeah, it's
It's like Shakespearean.
well, no,
You.
not thou. It's oh, you're talking about the vowel at the end. It's ao, so it's ow, ow, ow.
Oh, okay.
Um, but anyway, so I'll just be a lazy American, pronounce it Tao. Or I'll say Tao because that's how they pronounce it in the show. So yeah, there's the five elements of the Tao of, yeah, earth, fire, water, wood, metal, and then they all interact with each other. One strengthens the other, and they go in a circle. And then they do a like a pentagram, rock beats paper, scissor type thing,
Right.
where they all
But one of
crisscross.
them is wood, though,
One
right?
of them is wood, yes.
Because I remember thinking, is the monk that gets stuck with wood like the Mr. Pink equivalent of the Wu Warriors? Like,
No, no.
he's like, why
So,
am I stuck with
oh
wood?
no. So
It's
there's
like, it's like all you guys are badasses. I go up against a carpenter and I'm done.
no, yeah. So the wood is healing. It's actually longevity and growth. So if you have wood, you have like Wolvie X healing.
Oh, so it's like an MMO type of thing. You're the healer.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So the different elements have different attributes. I mean, the most direct one are like fire and water are the most like Yeah, that's exactly what you would think they would do. It's like the fire guy just
Right.
summons fire and throws fire. You're like, yeah,
Right.
that's pretty on brand.
Yeah, that's I was thinking wood. Like you make like a shelf. Like
Oh, yeah, yeah. But yeah, so there, like the wood represents growth and healing, and then also wood. So it's like I don't know. Which
yeah. So no, go ahead. Go
no,
ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, yeah, I first learned about it from fucking Yu-Gi-Oh, because I think that was one of the games they were playing. It was a card game based on Chinese Dao, and then they had all
So the
these.
Dow are always the same, right? I'm really representing the ignorant American here. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, there are always those five elements,
Okay.
rather than the sort of Western. I think it was Greek that thing came up with the four: earth, fire, wind, air. So then the
I mean, I
Chinese.
was about to throw heart in there, but that's Captain
That's
Planet.
Captain Planet, literally Captain Planet. Yeah, yeah.
That's what I got.
Oh yeah,
You
from
want to
the
talk Captain Planet? I gotcha.
yeah, yeah, from the Taoists thing. Yeah, so it's those five elements. So that's where they got that from.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
God damn it! Now I just have the Captain Planet theme song playing in my head.
all right. I wish I could cut it into the episode without getting sued.
I'm pretty sure it hasn't been long enough
Like
for.
people are like, "What is this episode about?" They're just playing theme songs from other shows.
Oh yeah. Well, that was I was thinking about that in the episode of There's another episode of It's Alive, that show I was telling you about from Bon Appetit yesterday, where for some reason while he's like making his thing, he just starts talking about Mortal Kombat and the characters, and then he's like, oh yeah, my favorite was always Scorpion. He's like, but if I had to say, it's like Raiden. Raiden's a god. What are you gonna do? He has lightning coming out of his face. What are you gonna do against that? All right.
So everything is 6 degrees of separation
Everything.
from Big Trouble Little China, right? Because
You better believe it. You better
that's where
believe
that came
it.
from, isn't it?
Yeah,
Raiden?
oh, yeah. The image of Raiden for Big Trouble in Little China came from from Mortal Kombat came from Big Trouble in Little China, but then obviously Raiden or Raiden, is a Japanese Shinto god. Um,
Hmm.
but it was one of those things where because of transliteration and how people read, so they wrote it Raiden, and so that was phonetically supposed to be read as Raiden, right? But
Mhm.
because of English, Rai, like the word rain, people started pronouncing it
Mhm.
Raiden. So then they just kept it Raiden to distinguish that as that character rather than the actual god it was like based off of.
Hmm.
I don't know why I went into that tangent, but that's one of those.
No,
Yeah,
no, it's interesting.
yeah, yeah. So then they went with like as that Raiden is the character rather than Raiden being the god of lightning.
Right. So, speaking of having powers and stuff, did they ever explain once he got that shard if he was just going to be one of the Wu warriors or if he kind of has the powers of many of them?
No, no. So they explain it that there's the five Wu warlords, and he has to stop each of the warlords. The five warlords have the five
Right,
element
right.
powers, so he doesn't have the element powers. So he
Yeah, because it's later revealed that Uncle Six, who's his like stepfather, sort
yeah,
of.
yeah, his like stepfather, adopted father, however you want to like look at it.
Right. Who like has been, offering him help, but always with a creepy smile. Eventually, like kills off these two guys that he sent to attack them, right? And then you see that he has the power of fire.
He didn't send
Right?
them to attack him.
Oh, he
they
didn't send them?
they went on their own because Kai technically quote unquote disrespected them at the restaurant when
Oh,
when he
okay.
stopped them from beating up the other server or chef because of the whole peanut incident. So then
Right.
those two guys were triads, right? And then Tommy was trying to tell them that no, you don't understand. This guy Kai is protected, and then they were like, yeah, whatever. He disrespected us. We're triad. We're gonna teach him a lesson. We're
Right.
gonna kill him. So that's why they wanted to
Right.
kill him, and that's why Uncle Six didn't send them. And that's why when he found out, he's like, oh, you guys were trying to kill Kai, and then they're like, we didn't know he was protected. He was like, yeah, that doesn't matter. But then he was like, oh yeah, tell me about this. Immediately when they were like, oh yeah, we got beat up by some bald dude. Clearly is a monk, okay, because he's some
Right,
old
right.
Asian bald guy, so he's a monk who's also a chef, right? And then they're just
I
like,
feel like that's borderline racist, right? Like if you see an Asian guy that's old, he's got to be a
bald.
monk.
It's bald, and he knows kung fu. It's like chances are he's a monk. All right.
Right,
So they're
right.
just like, all right, tell me. And then he kills them. But yeah, he didn't send them to get rid of Kai. They went on their own.
Okay, okay,
And then,
that's right.
yeah.
Now you reminded me.
Mhm.
So who was the person at the beginning who was like killing people in a storage container or whatever that was in a shipping
That
container?
was Uncle Six. He was killing two
That
guys
was Uncle Six.
from, I think they were from the rival gang trying to move in on his turf, which is Chinatown. And he was like, oh,
Right.
this is what I do to people trying to, like, muscle in on Chinatown.
Yeah.
Um,
I point my gun at your tidy whities, so you
yes.
better beware.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah.
Well, we also have a flashback of Kai as a kid, and Uncle Six kind of saves him from
Killing
being
a dude.
initiated into the triad,
Yeah,
by
yeah.
killing someone. And who was the person that was trying to get Kai to kill? Was it his grandfather or something
Well,
like that?
no, it was
Who was it?
Uncle Six referred to him as Big Brother, but I think that's just more of a gangster term for a senior member
Okay.
of the triads. He was like, oh, if this guy's going to be your son or your adopted son, he's going to be a gangster or
Right.
whatever, and initiate
Right.
him. And so then Uncle Six was like, no, he's not a killer or whatever. So that's when he just takes the gun and shoots the guy for him. Because the senior
Right.
gangster wanted Kai to kill the guy to just sort of ingratiate him into the gangster life.
Right. So Uncle Six is still a toss-up where I am, how bad he is, but yeah, I think we've talked about everything in the first two episodes. Although, no, I do remember Kai pushing a boulder for some reason. What was that about?
Oh.
Like testing his abilities?
No, that was because each Wu warlord has the element, he has to sort of like make himself invincible to the elements he's going to be fighting. So that's why she like dunks him in water to make him like tolerant to water. Why she puts his hand
right.
over fire to,
Right.
And then the boulder was just earth. She's like, you're going to have to deal with earth. So here's a big ass boulder. If you can overcome this, then you'll be immune to earth, right? Like push this big ass boulder.
Yeah. Gotcha. Again, it's very convenient they didn't show him overcoming wood. Like, what's he eating sawdust or something?
Or metal. It's like you could have done something with that, but no, they just show those
Yeah.
3 out of the 5. Yeah.
Right. Right. Okay. So yeah, I think that's it for Wu Assassins episode 1 and 2. Now I gotta catch up.
Yeah. I don't.
Anything else you want to throw in about that?
Yeah, I don't know if they've officially announced a season 2 because again, it's one of those weird things with Netflix. It's like sometimes they'll like immediately announce if a second season has been greenlit. Sometimes they'll wait, or so I don't know if there's another season coming out because yeah, it was 10 episodes in the first season, and that came out back in August 2019. Yeah, so
All right.
to wait and see.
All right. Cool. So thanks to anyone for tuning in, and the next episode should be available too, because I think we'll just record that tomorrow or something
Yeah.
for a catch up.
All right, no problem, friend.
But all right. That was Wu Assassins episodes 1 and 2.
Yeah. Oh, what the hell were they called? Episode 1 was Drunken Watermelon. Episode 2 was Misspent Youth.
Oh shit! I like that. Going official.
Well, I guess if you call basic labeling official.
I think you're going above and beyond here.
Say,
So I know I like that. We should keep that. This concludes the discussion of Drunken Watermelon and Misspent Youth.
why did you have to do it in a voice?
I had to. Stick around for Fire Chicken.
Episode 3.
That's the next episode.
Yeah, it is. All right. All right.
All right. Talk to you later.
Talk to
Rico.
you later, friend.